Saturday. And it's 12. You know what that means? That means that it's Bible reading time. You see, I'm starting up the Instagram Live so we can get more people in here to watch the Bible. Odd. Jason, you know what time it is. It's noon on a Saturday. It's Bible reading time. No wonder you invite me. You're like, Eros must be doing the Bible reading. Unfortunately, Stardew Valley's music is very loud, and there's no way to turn it down. So, turning on the Instagram Live so some more people can join in on the amazingness of the Bible. Okay, the second book of Moses called Exodus, chapter 1. Yeah. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls. Oh, that means that Jacob had 70 kids. Yes, Jason. I mean, if you want. Yeah, it's like it only times everything and every health and damage the first time, and then adds 20% every other time. Alright, I have given my piece for the day. Yeah, and all the souls that came out of and Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation, and all the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty. The land was filled with them. Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them with taskmasters, to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. Why are all the names so strange? I can't. And the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because the children of Israel, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel serve with a rigor. And they made their lives bitter and hard bondage, and mortar and brick, and all the manner of service in the field of their service, wherein they made them worse was with rigor. Hi Devin, Bible reading Saturday. Thumbs up, smiley face. Hi, it's an addiction! I can't stop! And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other was Puah. And he said, When ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the... Austin's also here. Hi, Austin. It's Bible reading Saturday. Thumbs up. Oh yeah, Chasen's in the party. Stools, if it be son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared God, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. And the king of Egypt called the midwives, and said unto them, Why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? And the housewife said unto Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore God dealt with God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mightily. You see, trying to read this is so difficult because it's such old English that the combination of trying to read and stutter comes into play. And I'm like, I don't want to. No. Midwives come unto them, but therefore God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mightily. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared God, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all the people, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter shall save. Okay, chapter 1 is complete. Let's go over what we read in chapter 2. So basically, the king of Egypt is like, stinky Israelites. How about we treat them very poorly? And then they did. And then it didn't work because they were trying to make them like not multiply as fast. And then they're like, no, 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 we're going to continue multiplying. And then he's like, huh. And then he talked to the wives of the Israelites, and then he's like, kill all your male children. And then they're like, no. And then he got very angry. And now he's like, to everyone, kill all your male children. And only the daughter shall live. So that was chapter 1. Chapter 2. And there went a man in the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. AKA, remember how the Pharaoh said that basically kill all the males? Well, if you didn't kill the males, then I'm pretty sure that the guards came in and killed you and your son. So she's hiding him. Yeah. Hi Lance, we're reading the Bible today. Thumbs up, smiley face. And when she could no longer hide him, she took him for an ark of bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. What did I just read? She took him an ark of bulrushes. What is that? And daubed him its and daubed it with slime and with pitch. Yeah, it's because the music's nice. That's why I chose Stardew Valley. Because there's no music after the main menu music. Child therein, she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. Oh wait, so she put her son in like a basket and then chucked him in a river. Ah, okay, I understand now. And his sister stood afar off, to wit what would be done to him. Oh, so her other child was just staring at her mom, just chucking their sibling into the lake. No big deal. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the river's side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it and saw the child, she beheld the babe and wept. The baby? Babe. Is that babe or baby? Okay, baby wept. And she had the compassion on him, and said, this is one of the Hebrews' children. Then said his sister to Pharaoh, what? Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, what does that mean? Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew woman, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went to call the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. Ah, okay, that's actually pretty nice. Instead of just chucking your baby in the river, the daughter of the dictator was like, okay, I show mercy. And then she's like, hey, daughter, the sister of the boy who was chucked into the lake. Here, take him back. Don't worry. Just pretend that he's mine. Just pretend that he's mine. And then she's like, okay. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take the child away and nurse it. Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take the child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew. Yes. And she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses. Oh, he's famous. You guys know Moses, yeah? He's like, no, Moses, the guy who split the Red Sea. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I have seen that meme. I have. And Moses. And she said, Because I drew him out of the water. I guess Moses means in either Egyptian or Greek or Hebrew or whatever. And I guess it means water or drew him out of water. Ah, I don't know. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew and one of his brethren. Uh, okay, so basically what that means is he just watched one of his brothers get smited, aka probably someone with like a sword going shink shink or hammer going bonk bonk or axe swing swing swing. And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hit him. Holy cow! Okay, so basically, no. Okay, so basically, what happened was he was like, he saw one of the Egyptians kill his brother, and then he looked around, and then he's like, no one's here, so he killed him. Uh, and when he went out the second day, behold, two men of the Hebrews strove together, and he said to him, That did the wrong, wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, Who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me, and thou killedst the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, Surely this thing is known. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh, and dwelt in the land of Midian, and sat by a well. Okay, what is going on? Okay, so Moses saw someone kill his brother, so he killed him. And then he's talking to an Egyptian, and then he's like, "You do know that we know that you killed the Egyptian." And then he's like, "Yeah, it should be known." And now the leader's like, "Oh, I will kill you." And then he's like, "No, no, no." And then he ran away. What? I'm so confused. Reading. When Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses, but Moses fled. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. The shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them, and watered their flock. And when they came to Re, Re, Reuel, Reule, Ruel. Ruel. I'm gonna just call it Ruel. Their fa- That's his name? That means I'm gonna have to say it more. Reuel. Is that Raul? I can't even say that one. Came to Raul. their father, and said, How is it that ye are come too soon today? And and they said, An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water, enough for us, and watered the flock. And he said unto his daughters, And where is he? Why is it that ye have left the man? Call him, and he may eat bread. And Moses said, And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah his daughter, and she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom. And he said, I have been a stranger to a strange land. And it came to pass in promises of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage. And God heard them groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. Okay, chapter 3, let's go over what we read in chapter 2. Okay, so basically, the Jews are basically illegal at this point. Like, they're like, don't have male children! Yeah, exactly, because they don't want them to have male children so they can't reproduce. They only want female so the Egyptians can reproduce with them. They don't want any males coming in and being like, oh, reproduce. So then they ban him. But then one day, this woman was like, and then gave birth to a boy. And then she's like, oh no, they're going to kill my baby. So she chucked him in a river. But don't worry, yeah, Moses. She made him a little boat and then put him in a river. And then the princess was like, hey, look, a baby. Go get them to me, my servants. And then they're like, okay. And then they grabbed her the baby. No, not yet. Wait, this is a recap afterwards to try to put it in better terms other than... And it went to... And basically, they're like, yes, it's a baby boy. And then the princess was like, okay. Well, how about we give it back to the family to raise? But it's mine. And that's what happened. And now his name is Moses. And then he's walking around the street one day, and then he sees an Egyptian just like, I guess, stab one of his brethren, and then he's like, kinda, yeah. And then he's like, he got very angry because he saw an Egyptian kill a Hebrew or an Israelite, and then he killed him, and then he was talking to another Egyptian, and then he's like, hey yo, I killed this guy, and then he's like, we know, you should probably turn yourself in, and then he's like, no, don't worry, and then the king was like, oh, he killed someone, get them, and then he's like, no, and ran away. And now he finds 7 daughters, I guess, being harassed by a man, and then he comes up and then like goes like, haha, no, these are my ladies, I protect. And then he's like, here is water for sheep, and then they're like, oh, thank you, Moses. And then they all walk down to their dad's house, and then they're like, hey dad, we found a cool guy, and then their dad's like, huh? Where is he? Why is he not here? Bring him here! And then Moses was like, okay, hi. And then he's like, okay, you live with me now, okay? I give you bread, you live with me. And then he's like, okay. And then he's like, you marry my daughter. And he's like, okay. And then he's like, now you have child. And he's like, okay. And now the king, the Pharaoh, who was hunting down all the Israelites, died. And now all the Israelites are like crying. They're like, oh no, we no longer have ruler. While he did make us only have one son, he still protected us from other countries. And now they're like, oh no. They're like, God, please help us. And then he's like, I respect you. So he's probably going to help them later on in chapter 3. Speaking of chapter 3! Now Moses kept a flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, and came into the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside. And Moses said this out loud, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush, and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. I probably shouldn't be making a voice for God. That's probably blasphemy. Here I am. And he said, Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet. For this place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am God, of the father of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the afflictions of my people which are in Egypt, and people which are in Egypt and have heard their cry, by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of Egyptians, and to bring them up out of the land unto a good land, and a large, and unto a land flowing with milk and honey, and the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Basically, these are just groups of people with very weird names that I barely can pronounce. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppress them. Come now, therefore, and I will... Oh, wait, sorry. On the actual page that I'm reading, like, it has one side of the page is smaller than the other side, so it's really messing with me. Now, come now, therefore, I will send thee unto Pharaoh. I thought that Pharaoh died, and thou mayest bring forth my people of the children of Israel out of Egypt. And Moses said unto God, Who am I, that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? Question mark. And he said, Certainly, I will be with thee, and this shall be a token unto thee, and I have sent thee when thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt. Ye shall serve God upon this mountain. And Moses said unto God, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The God of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say, What is his name? What shall I say unto them? And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. A.K. in Israel, in Hebrew, or Egyptian, or whatever language they speak, that is Yeshua. But most people don't, like most Christians don't say, Oh dear Lord, Yeshua. We normally just call him God, or Lord. Yeah. Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am, hath sent me unto you. And God said moreover unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath sent me unto you. This is my name forever. This is my memorial unto all generations. Go and gather the elders of Israel together, and say unto them, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you, and seen that which is done unto you in Egypt. And I have said, I will bring you up in the affliction of Egypt unto the land of Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites. Hivites, yeah. And the Jebusites, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall hearken to thy voice, and thou shalt come, and thou the leaders of And thou shalt come, thou shalt the elders of Israel, unto the kingdom, unto the king of Egypt, and ye shall say unto them, The Lord God of the Hebrews hath met with us. And now let us go, we beseech thee, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. And I am sure that the king of Egypt will not let you go. No, not by a mighty hand. And I will stretch out my hand, and I will smite the Egypt with all my wonders, which I will do in the midst of thereof. And after that he will let you go. Evil Combos Online, aka Lance. And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, and shall come to pass that when ye go, ye shall not go empty, but every woman shall borrow of her neighbor, and her that sojourneth in her house, jewels of silver and jewels of gold, raiment, and ye shall put them all upon your sons and upon your daughters, and ye shall spoil the Egyptians. Basically, raiment's meat. Basically, he's saying, I'll give you money and food. Yo, okay, chapter 4. Let's go over what we read in chapter 3. Okay, so basically what happened in chapter 3 was Moses was like, yada yada yada, and now he's on a mountain. Now an angel appears to him, and then he's like, oh, stay here, okay? God's about to appear. And then Moses was like, okay. And then God does appear. And then Moses is like, oh, I can tell that he is here, because I heard the sound. And now God's like, hey, yo, Moses, hey, how about you just go save your people, you know? Then he's like, I'll help you. And then he's also like, oh yeah, by the way, take off your shoes. This is Holy Land. Like, you don't need shoes. Yeah, you don't need shoes here. This is the Holy Land. And then he's like, okay. And then he takes off his shoes, I assume. And then he's like, but God, how am I supposed to free them? There's a lot of guys with pointy sticks there. Okay, I don't think that I could do this. And God's like, don't worry, I'll smite them. I'll give you guys favor. Just bring them somewhere else. Bring them here. Okay, here they'll have milk and honey. And then he's like, I will do so. And then he's like, but what happens when we get there, God? We don't know how to do anything. And then he's like, okay, you'll gain favor by the Egyptians, So they'll give you what you need before you leave. And then he's like, okay, and that's where chapter 3 ended. Well, well, that is the end of today's Bible reading.